I only want to help. Talking in real life, it's hard, but I honestly like to chat and people's company can be pleasant, if all goes well. But the anxiety in my mind and the worst case scenario and my mind turning to goo on subjects I am otherwise quite knowledgeable about. I regret almost everything I say. It's hard enough to approach anyone, but what do I even talk about? Thank goodness there's the online comfort of the anonymity of strangers of whom I have much in common with, the luxury of not having to physically talk but physically type. Thoughts typed and an open world of possibilities, I can now sit and think before speaking. Behind the screen, I am wise, more wise with extra planning time. I only want to help. In this world with so much hatred and chaos, God called me to be a force for good. But where there's good, boundaries are crossed and saying no is hard. Which is where the misery began. It starts out innocently enough. A new person enters the scene with flattering words or common interests. But then there's a turn. Something is said, just a mention, of something unfortunate in their lives. Naturally, I want to help. So I give some advice, some encouragement, and perhaps even a prayer. It's the least I can do since they are often half a world away. One thing leads to another, and I find myself in a private chat where they progressively unload all of their trauma onto my screen. This usually happens as a result of me asking what's wrong, so they tell me precisely what's wrong. And once again, I take all of their words into consideration and I give them the best I can muster. They say, "Thank you, I'll try," and then we move on. Except not really, because the next time we meet, I ask how they are and I am met with another trauma dump. Everything is wrong in the world and life sucks. Okay, it's only been 1 or 2 rounds of advice, and they're still having a hard time. Nothing changes in a day, so I don't mind, continuing in my attempts to help. And so I do just that. Lather, rinse, and repeat for each subsequent meetup. And now we have a problem. I am suddenly the therapist without my consent, and what's worse, this isn't friendship. Not really. It's off balance in the worst way. Friendships have some level of fun and good times, but the only thing that happens is me enduring all of this negativity with trying to sow positivity in this very evident reality that this person isn't even trying to get better. Fast forward weeks, and then months, and my own mental health is declining. I dread the days of meeting up, even if meeting up is infrequent. That day is miserable. I want out so badly, but I don't want to abandon them. So I tried to change the subject. I tried to send hints, but the hints weren't understood. Or worse, they were being ignored. I've gotten stuck in this series of unfortunate events 3 or 4 times with separate people. Usually, and fortunately, for my own sanity, they just naturally, eventually, stopped responding and they drifted away. Sweet relief. But the last one was definitely the worst. Let's start with Girl A, who already had her problems that she made quite known to me. But then I was introduced to her friend, Girl B, who liked my art. Surprise, surprise, she also had a lot of problems. I mean, we all have problems, but you know what I mean. Once again, I'm the therapist, and now for 2 at once. Eventually, Girl A stopped chatting. Girl B endured. There was some drama between them, and sadly, their friendship came to an end. Girl B had more to say to A, but A made it clear she had nothing left to discuss. B said if I was her friend, I'd send messages to A, but A wanted space. I wanted to respect that. But Girl B didn't care about respect because who respected her? No one she knew. So were just ignoring the golden rule entirely. Besides, she knew in her heart that something was wrong with Girl A, with her only evidence being her very own dreams. Now, I'm not one to knock prophetic dreams, but me thinks this wasn't the case, considering Girl A was 3 steps away from filing a restraining order. But who's to say? Regardless, because I lack a spine, I'd heed her request to check on Girl A. But make no mistake, I felt icky the entire time. I had to put my foot down. I had to say no. I was uncomfortable. She didn't care. Girl B would remind me of all that was wrong in her life, how she doesn't have a job she likes, basically has no friends, and she felt trapped. Oh, the irony. Still, I wanted to help. I'd give advice, but it was waved off and ignored. There was no desire to be helped, only to sit and complain. Of course, we all need to vent sometimes, but only venting? I tried to lighten the mood and show her fun and cool things, remind her what friendship is supposed to be. Generosity, honesty, kindness, loyalty, and especially laughter. The elements of harmony, the elements of friendship, and without one, the friendship cracks and shatters. It is so important to be able to have fun with friends. Without fun, things are dreary and there's barely an incentive to be around someone. Girl B was no fun. I wasn't having fun. It was miserable and I wasn't being heard at all. I tried to explain. Friendships need fun. She didn't care. Sure, she lived half a world away and I could click away from her at any point. Look, I tried. I tried to ignore her if only just for a little while. Just for a small break. I tried getting out. But Girl B threatened her own well-being if I didn't stay. Every time she was quiet, I was scared that she did something drastic. I didn't know what to do. All I could do was pray and wait for the time she was on vacation so that I could have a break. Sundays were Girl B days. My only day away from work spent trying to keep this person from going over the edge. I cared for her. I gave advice. I gave resources. I did so much. I didn't want to fail her. I only wanted to help. But it didn't matter. After 2 or 3 years, something happened and she had to go away. Not a vacation, but something a bit more serious. She said she had to leave and she didn't know when she was coming back. I hoped for her safety and wellness, but I was so relieved that I'd be free, if even temporarily. A week went by, 2 weeks, a couple months. I hadn't heard from her. Life felt so good, but I knew it wouldn't last because she'd eventually return. Unless there was one way out. If I didn't do it then, it wasn't going to happen. Unfriended her on all platforms, blocked. I hesitated, naturally, because I still feared that she might need me. But I had to do this. I continued to pray that she was well. Eventually, she returned. How would I know this? Well, I missed a platform. She asked me why I unfriended and left. My stomach dropped. I couldn't go back. I was free. I could not do all of that again. I didn't respond, and I blocked her. It was done. And I never turned back. At some point, you have to say no and stand up for yourself. It's okay. There is no malice, and I wish and pray that she finds and has found happiness. As for myself, I'm wary nowadays anytime someone tries to privately message me. I get the occasional query of why I don't participate. It's because I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to repeat history. It's because I know I can't stop myself. I only want to help.